everyone for the second hour of today's PHORUM conference series, presented by Fairmount Partners and Anexinet. Once again, I'd like to give a special shout out to all our sponsors, many who you'll meet throughout the various segments of this series. In this next hour, we'll meet the remaining 4 companies in our PHORUM demo pit, and we'll see 2 20-minute segments on 2 of our 3 focus areas for this year's conference: living in a privacy-conscious world, and first up, ubiquitous connectivity.
Welcome to what's sure to be a great conversation on the evolution of enterprise connectivity. The format for this and our other 2 thematic sessions will include brief lightning talks from individual panelists, followed by a short moderated Q&A with the panel. The 2 presenters for this session represent 2 perspectives of enterprise technology: an enterprise tech incumbent and a rapidly growing disruptor. Let's get started.
Hi, my name is Chris Maenner. I'm the Director of Infrastructure and Security Engineering here at GoPuff. Let me walk you through what GoPuff does. GoPuff is an online delivery service in which we own and operate facilities in 500 cities across the United States. What makes us unique is that we own the tech down to the delivery experience. This allows us to excel in providing convenience to the customer. So this forum's theme is connectivity. So pre-COVID, post-COVID environment, GoPuff engineering has always loved software-defined cloud computing. Before we go into an example of how we use cloud computing here at GoPuff, what I want to highlight here is that we're cloud-first, cloud-native. And why we chose that is because it makes us very flexible and agile as we compete in our competitive landscape. So partnering with Comcast Business by moving our infrastructure to cloud was a no-brainer. This allowed us to horizontally scale across the United States quickly and efficiently, and on top of it, prepare for the 5G connectivity that will be coming down in the next couple of years in the United States. So what I want to show you here is our delivery experience process. So as the customer places an order, it gets processed in the cloud, and after it's completed, it gets binned at the facility level. The driver then picks up the product and is able to deliver it to the customer's house within minutes. Software-defined perimeter can be described as a network perimeter on software. So how does this equal customer satisfaction? Let me explain. Faster product release is number 1. This allows us to be very creative, as well as be able to create products quickly and efficiently. Beyond that, the services that we were able to offer on the back end or front end to complement the products are able to scale, as well as become very innovative due to our developer autonomy. By giving those developers the requirements and use cases ahead of time, they're able to create new services and new products that are very creative, but at the same time profitable for GoPuff. This allows us to attract top talent that way. The only way to succeed, especially in our microservice architecture and cloud computing, is to get the top talent, because we can decouple them to allow them to focus on specific services or products for our consumers. Now, security. This is very important to me, only because I'm the Director of Security and Infrastructure here at GoPuff. But a big problem we had was that security used to block a lot of our product releases. This has always been a hindrance in a lot of the industry overall. But here at GoPuff, we are able to move security to the left and integrate security, which contributes to growth and collaboration. By wrapping this all up, this provides us customer satisfaction. GoPuff engineering loves microservices. Historically, when we were around the 1 to 2 facilities, we had an architecture that was called monolithic. Nothing is wrong with monolithic architecture. It's just that it's a little bit harder to decouple components. And what I mean by that is being able to successfully make new services and products quickly and efficiently as leadership and the market needs it. So as we started to grow into the 50+ facilities and higher, our engineering staff had a very difficult time trying to find really strong talent to understand microservices. So from a leadership perspective, our engineering team was able to focus just on services and products that were needed to get us to that next hurdle so that we could then focus on how to do the hiring. And then after we had that architecture in place, we bring developers in to focus just on specific components and services to help us scale into the 500+ facilities. Wrapping up this presentation, what I want to do is just highlight a couple business benefits of moving to a microservice architecture with software-defined network and cloud computing. GoPuff engineering was able to better manage and make our environment very agile. This ensured that our product was secure, quick, adaptable to compete in our industry's dynamic culture. So with that, I want to say thank you and looking forward to answer all your Q&A. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Bob Victor, and I head product at Comcast Business. And it's nice to be following my good friend, Chris. So Chris introduced a number of terms in his presentation about how GoPuff is managing their network. And I thought I would just take a moment to reflect on some of those terms and new technologies that Chris referred to as a precursor into our next part of the discussion, where we really kind of speculate on what does this mean in terms of ubiquitous connectivity. So the first thing Chris mentioned, or one of the things Chris mentioned, was SD-WAN, software-defined wide area networking. It used to be the case when companies put together networks and connected all of the different locations into one network, that this was done using proprietary network technology such as MPLS or ATM, and the connectivity in the pipes themselves were pretty thin. Today, what we've been able to do is abstract the networking technology, turn that into software so that we could use really high bandwidth IP pipes, whether that's a cable connectivity or whether that's fiber connectivity, and stitch those together as a network, which makes it very flexible. That's software-defined wide area networking. ActiveCore is our platform on which we deliver SD-WAN. So for Comcast Business, we have an ActiveCore platform, which is software-defined networking. We run SD-WAN on that platform. And we've also virtualized other services such as firewall, routing, Wi-Fi. We basically turn what used to be boxes of hardware into software. We have a universal CPE, which is a basic simple computer at the edge. And then we run these different virtual network functions as applications on that generic hardware. And that allows you to scale a network at a much lower cost than used to be possible. 5G and Wi-Fi 6 I'll take together a bit. 5G is really the next generation of wireless technology. And what's different about 5G is it's a lot faster, there's a lot lower latency, and it's possible to stitch together multiple wireless networks using different spectrums all at the same time. Whereas for 4G or 3G, it was really just one radio and one wireless connection with less connectivity. The latency also comes from the way the networks are architected. The controlling hardware and software is like in the SD-WAN platform, fairly generic, and it's run close to the edge so that the local computing can handle all of the handoffs between different devices. And Wi-Fi 6 is really just an evolution of Wi-Fi, and so we'll see Wi-Fi get more and more powerful. And then finally, edge computing. I mentioned edge computing both in SD-WAN and 5G. The idea here is the computing actually originally used to be local. It moved to the cloud with cloud computing. But one of the shortcomings of cloud computing is you've got to send the bits to the cloud, they're processed and send them back. And now more and more, the cloud is complemented with edge computing so that some of the critical computing functions can be done closer to the user, and that reduces latency and increases power. So we'll get into some more of these topics, but I thought I'd just take a moment to explain. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the PACT Forum, the digital disruption in a changing world. I'm Rob Sullivan with Anexinet. I'm coming to you from our newly minted Network Operations Center in Bluebell. I lead our go-to-market strategy with a number of clients. We're very happy to sponsor this year's forum, and I'm really pleased to moderate today's discussion on ubiquitous connectivity. The digital world's been evolving for decades, and today I'm happy to bring together two of the key leaders in this digital revolution. As you've heard from their intros, Bob Victor from Comcast and Chris Maenner from GoPuff are truly pioneers in the digital revolution. Comcast is in the process of rolling out communications and a connectivity platform like no other, and GoPuff is delivering critical essentials to customers across more than 500 cities fast and for a ridiculous flat fee of $1.95 an order. These two companies complement each other and basically are symbiotic in their relationships. Let's jump into the discussion. And please remember that the chat feature is available for Q&A throughout our discussion for whatever platform you're using. So Chris, if I can turn to you real quick, this whole ubiquitous connectivity world, if anything and everything can be connected, automated to everything, anywhere, what's next for GoPuff? How do you take advantage of these capabilities, and what are the real priorities that you have and the needs from the ISPs?
Yeah, I think I have three specific bullet points here. One we like to call network in a box. It's basically installation, deployment, and support from Comcast. If they can wrap that up in a nice, fine package for us, it makes our deployment strategy really easy as we scale. Secondly is automated SD-WAN deployment with cloud vendors. Currently, Comcast offers a really great SD-WAN solution. Right now, as we get more configuration completed, we need to have more of that one-click functionality to make deployment a little bit easier. And then the last piece is really API integration into Comcast Business Stack.
That's great. Bob, as you're looking at what's out there, can you give us a brief overview of the investments and capabilities Comcast is making in its network and spectrum acquisition and security capabilities, other things that are going to let startups like GoPuff thrive and grow in a very efficient and effective fashion?
Yeah, sure thing. It probably comes down to three key areas. One is great connectivity. We're constantly improving the capacity of our own network. And we also know we've got to provide network connectivity wherever our customers are. And so that also means off-net. Second is great wireless connectivity within a premise. And so today we bought a company recently called Deep Blue to provide great Wi-Fi coverage. And we're also investing in building 5G private networks. And then finally, as people probably have seen, we're a winner in the recent CBRS spectrum auction. And so we're now looking at macro level spectrum.
Great. Chris, another question for you. Your facilities, you've got 500 of them around the country. They're fit out with all types of IoT devices and capabilities to ensure that your operations are efficient. I get on my app, I order, someone comes, picks it up, delivers it to me very quickly. How does the evolution of these devices help you, particularly from a post-COVID perspective, when you're going to begin to face different regulatory requirements, regional challenges? Where do you see those things going in the future?
I think the first thing we really want to focus on is really improving our engineering focus and making our product and enterprise software efficient. This will allow us to properly scale and move into potentially the autonomous systems. By diversifying our product portfolio, this allows us to create more capital, which then will be able to better invest in infrastructure and make our customer platform more stable, as well as be more efficient for our customer delivery.
And how do you see the Comcast network helping you today? What are the things that are out there that's allowing you this growth in the delivery of incredible customer experiences?
I think the biggest thing is that the flexibility of how they're able to move with us. We move rapidly, like fast. GoPuff, what we really need to do is build out an infrastructure inside of a market that will allow us to grow our business. Comcast was able to bring Deep Blue, as Bob recently explained. They were able to deploy a network for us, as well as with the SD-WAN solution, better integrate with our cloud. So we're able to use a lot of our cloud services both over the internet or through the SD-WAN pipe that Comcast provides.
Okay, great. So when I think about the end-to-end connectivity from GoPuff, from your facilities to an end user, once the product leaves your warehouse, and this is really to Bob, kind of the capabilities that you're bringing together. Once the product leaves your warehouse, and it has to go through this process to get to an end customer, what do you see from the standpoint of enabling seamless tracking and data, across from your network to other networks, and how does that work across the public domain to really give GoPuff what they need, both from a cost, a control, a data, and an efficiency perspective today, all through that entire end-to-end network and delivery system?
So I think it starts with everything has to be connected always. So all of the facilities that GoPuff has, they just can't go down. If the connection breaks between the GoPuff facility and the cloud, really the business goes down. And likewise, on the other end, the customer needs to be connected. And so whether that may be a customer at their home over the Comcast Wi-Fi network or with their cell phone, once we've established that connectivity and that connectivity is always on, there's a very seamless transition and there's an ability to track everything across any point of the value chain. And then second, in terms of economics, it's all about scale. The cost of that connectivity is relatively fixed. So the most important thing is it's always up, it's fixed, and then the economics just, it's GoPuff's model is incredibly scalable. The more $1.95 deliveries they do, the more successful their business will be because the basic network connectivity piece is really a fixed cost. And so we're thrilled to support the growth of GoPuff, and it's working great so far.
That's awesome. Chris, anything to add on that before I jump into some things that you might be doing in the future?
No, I think Bob nailed it. With the partnership that we have right now, we're able to really scale our facility level. Over the last year, it's been a really great partnership with allowing us to not only get the support we need, but get really good engineering focus between Comcast and GoPuff.
Great. You know, today you've got facilities all over the country. You know, I click on my app, someone comes to pick it up and drive it to me, and there we go. In the future, are you looking at other capabilities, and how will kind of the networks and things that are being provided by Comcast help you from an autonomous delivery capability, whether it's drones, autonomous vehicles, other capabilities? What's the future look like, and what are the needs from the ISPs?
I think from an ISP perspective, they'll handle a lot of the infrastructure and internet based. What we really need is an open telemetry standard. And what I mean by that is really good data structure so that we can consume the information and send it into our machine learning modules up into the cloud. This will allow us to make better proactive and efficient delivery to a lot of our facilities. So if there was like an offering offered from Comcast where we could own the network, be able to connect with our cloud, and then send that information into whatever cloud vendor we choose, a lot of the cloud vendors in general are opening themselves up to this open telemetry standard so that we can just send information, collect the most efficient model possible, and then be able to move our autonomous systems more effectively during a routing solution.
That's great. Bob, from your perspective with the future and this autonomous capability, are you folks ready to deliver what the GoPuffs of the world need? And any last thoughts on that as we kind of wind this down?
Yeah, no, I think it's super exciting. I think as Chris explained, GoPuff has built their infrastructure in a way that really drone delivery is almost like a module that you plug in. Today, it's their driver network. Tomorrow, you substitute out that driver network potentially with drones. As Chris explained, you've got to make sure the telemetry information from the drone can hit the internet so they can go in their cloud solution, which also, as Chris mentioned, is multi-cloud. So whether that's Azure or AWS, he has the information, but effectively the network is ready. You know, the issue is, you know, when will the drones be ready? But we're, I think, together with GoPuff ready for the drones.
That's great. Well, gentlemen, we're coming down to the end of this. So first of all, I want to thank you all very much for this conversation about this. Any last comments from either of you? Because we're just about at the end.
No, I think we're okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for hosting, and thanks for the partnership, Chris, and thanks everyone for joining today.
Thanks very much, gentlemen. Have a good day.
Suburbs.
Suburbs. City.
Suburbs.
City.
Suburbs, but passionate about the city.
City.
Suburbs.
City or suburbs?
Suburbs.
Hi, I'm Dan Koval from Bentley Systems, and I'm so excited to introduce you to the PHORUM Demo Pit. The Demo Pit features the region's hottest early-stage companies and was created to allow startups to connect with C-level enterprise decision makers attending the PHORUM conference. We heard 4 pitches this morning, and we'll hear another 4 this afternoon. Our judges will review the pitches and announce this year's Best in Show at next week's PHORUM conference finale on October 14th. A reminder that you can help our judges in their deliberation by voting for your favorite Demo Pit presentation by using your mobile phone to visit menti.com and entering the code on your screen to access our poll. Let's watch Neura Health.
My name is Sanjay Khobragade, and I'm the founder and CEO of Neura Health, making medical imaging accessible to the world population. medical imaging continues to remain a privileged luxury for people across the world. For many people cannot afford to have medical imaging done. Additionally, the radiologists continue to do the medical imaging analysis manually, and there is not much automation there. There's a lot of burnout because of the demands of the job for radiologists, and Neura Health is actually working towards engineering solutions to make the medical imaging analysis using AI and make it accessible as well as affordable for the world population. We are able to do this using exhaustive use of technologies, the likes of cloud computing, AI, 5G, and quantum computing. So far, we have built 3 products, Neura Detect, which is to detect breast cancer from screening mammography images, Neura COVID to detect COVID-19 from chest X-rays and CT scans, as well as Neura Checks, which we are currently working on, to diagnose additional lung diseases from the chest X-rays. All of our AI products are built in cloud, and they can be accessible from anywhere there's internet connection across the world. The accuracy for our AI models is equivalent to an expert radiologist. Neura Detect results show the classification across breast density, BI-RADS score, breast cancers in benign versus malignant classes, and then also regions of interest for the radiologists to closely look at how the AI is making that decision. Neura COVID results does the classification across 3 classes, whether it's a non-COVID pneumonia or just normal-looking chest X-ray, or if it's seeing COVID-19. As well as there's a heat map overlay on top of the original X-ray image, and geographic and opacity score values are also provided for the radiologist. The global market size for the medical imaging analysis using AI is on a higher trend, and it's going to be $1.5 billion by 2023. Neura Health is looking to target this market about 2.5%, which comes to around $37 million. The competition is fierce in the medical imaging analysis for the chest X-ray, breast cancer, and the CT scans. However, Neura Health is unique in the way it has built its products and operates its products in cloud for an easier adoption for all the hospitals. As well as the accuracy for the AI models built by Neura Health is relatively high compared to the competition. The team currently consists of 6 members. Our medical advisor is a breast imaging diagnostic radiologist who has spent 15 years of his 30-year career in the breast imaging domain. So far, we have built Neura Health in a bootstrap mode. We are looking to raise $250K in seed investment to expand the IT, marketing, and sales team, as well as look for further approval for the FDA 510K process for other products. Neura Health was started in 2019. Our first hire was in October 2019, and it has since grown aggressively. We came up with our first product in March 2020. After that, within a month, we had to come up with another product to address the COVID-19 disease. And we are looking to get our first product FDA approved by June of 2021. Neura Health, making medical imaging accessible to the world population. If you like to be part of our journey, please reach out to us at the launch or through email or phone. Thank you.
Don't forget to give us your feedback on our demo pit companies. Visit menti.com and enter the code on your screen to access our poll. Now, let's watch Pulsedive.
I appreciate both the scientific rigor of science and the empirical methods, as well as the creative understanding of context, patron, audience, subscriber, payer, and society. And taking both of those together, that's how I fuel my business context and strategy. Hi, I'm Grace, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about Pulsedive. Pulsedive is a New Jersey-based cybersecurity threat intelligence startup focused on supporting our mission, helping communities and organizations proactively improve their security posture. With an avid community base around the world, we've been listed in educational resources, online lists, and in leading security presentations. Why threat intel? There's a fundamental security question for teams everywhere. Is this malicious? To protect, detect, to mitigate, first you have to understand and act on what's going on in the wild. However, teams are wasting so many hours trying to figure out why something was deemed malicious in the first place or at all. This looks like endless tabs open, hours wasted, low productivity, high turnover, and of course, weakened security. So what we're doing at Pulsedive is bridging the world of free open source technologies with enterprise-grade tooling to provide meaningful threat intelligence in an intuitive way. To do this, we're built on some core foundations. The first is a commitment to the user experience of those analysts, engineers, and researchers working with threat intelligence every day. The second, and this is important, lean scalable technology to help you uncover answers with efficient systems in usable interfaces. And last, community invested growth, because a robust, engaged, and authentic community is proactively feeding us insights. So a few ways we're different. To start off, we have a mix of dozens of sources as well as on-the-ground global community user submissions, which gives us a really good coverage of known threats worldwide and unique observations. Then we go ahead and Pulsedive enriches each of those submitted domains, IPs, and URLs ourselves, taking that contextual data, making it available to our users, and then saving all of it and organizing it in a way that makes it fully searchable. And since the threat landscape is constantly changing, we save all that historical information for future reference. From there, we take those firsthand observations, determining some risk factors, and evaluating a risk score. We empower our users to then take those determinations and investigate that further on their own. And one of our biggest technical strengths is our ease of integration. We get along really well with all those 3 to 4 letter tools in both the current and emerging security markets. So our solutions really pair with the evolving security maturity of our digital forensics, incident response, security operations, and threat research teams. Our community platform is our foundation with an upgrade to an individual pro tier that allows for more advanced data and analytics. Our API and feed are good solutions for businesses and teams that are looking to automate and integrate their tools within an environment. And finally, Enterprise is our dedicated instance of our platform for organizations looking to internally optimize their data collection, processing, enrichment, and integration. From the beginning, we've all been about showing and not simply telling. By pairing instant value with free resources, as well as pushing forward new products, we're able to validate key market concerns and deliver new benefits as we grow. We're currently processing hundreds of thousands of indicators daily with avid users on 6 continents, as well as hundreds of countries. And we've come a really long way, even from 2018 to 2020. We've been 100% bootstrapped to date with 100% organic acquisition. And in 2020, given everything that's going on, we've been able to double our annual recurring revenue as well as our monthly signups. And we have a lot more to come, not only expanding in our current market, but delivering new products and new functionality that addresses security's threat intelligence needs. Thanks for tuning in.
You'll hear pitches from 2 more demo pit companies after our next session. But for now, let's move on to our privacy session.
Hi, my name is Carly Quinn, Global Head of Value Experience at SAP. We are honored and proud to sponsor this year's Forum Conference. Our next session, exploring this year's Forum theme, is living in a privacy-conscious world. We know that the paradox of a connected world is the desire for personalized experience combined with the growing understanding that insightful algorithms can find personal things in data even when it was thought to be safely anonymized. So along with our next lineup of panelists, let's explore that paradox.
Living in a privacy-conscious world. What does that mean from my perspective? Hi, I'm Odia Kagan. I am a partner and chair of GDPR compliance and international privacy at Rothschild in Philadelphia. and I'm going to tell you my take on this. So, privacy conscious world, is that really something that's happening? So, in Europe, I would say the answer is yes, and has been for at least a few years. Since the GDPR, the European General Data Protection Regulation, came into effect and imposed a lot of obligations on companies that handle personal information of people in Europe, the awareness of people's right to privacy and what is done with their information and what they can do about it rose dramatically. And in surveys that were done, it showed that there is awareness. About 60 or 70% of the population is aware of these rights. But is that the case in the US? Until recently, I would have said that overall, this may not have been the case. And the focus in the US was traditionally more on privacy vis-a-vis governmental organizations as opposed to private companies. This is changing, and I think one of the big pushes for the change is actually the coronavirus pandemic. In the course of life in the pandemic, we are witnessing a lot more collection of information. Everything is contactless, everything is online, mobile applications, video conferencing, telehealth, remote learning. There is a lot more information that is being collected about us in the course of these, and consequently, we are becoming more aware of it because things are going wrong. Things are going wrong with video conferencing. There are a lot more data breaches. There are a lot more phishing attacks over the course of the pandemic. And so we are now more aware that a lot more information about us is being collected and that there is significance to this. And now, because of that, we are seeing a bigger push for privacy legislation in the United States. We see that in the form of states coming out with privacy bills, most recently the Washington Privacy Act, and of course California, the California Consumer Privacy Act, which became effective in July, enforceable in July, right in the midst of the pandemic. We are also seeing COVID-specific privacy laws that regulate how information related to COVID is being processed. And then finally, we have seen a number of federal privacy bills intending to regulate the processing of personal information in the United States. Now, what is that, once we have these laws, what is that going to mean for us, for our daily lives? It is going to generally, the laws vary, but generally it means the following. Companies are going to be required to tell you more about what they're doing and to tell you in a way that you understand and not trying to hide things behind the text. You are also going to have the ability to control what you do with your information. Maybe you can get a copy of it. Maybe you can prevent a company from sharing it. Maybe you can have it deleted. You're going to have control and choices over the information. You're going to know more about what that information is. And also, companies are going to be responsible for the sharing of your information with third parties. They're going to need to pick their vendors very carefully and make sure that everybody abides by the same standard. So living in a privacy-conscious world, I think that we are more and more getting there, and that the legislation in the United States is getting closer to catching up. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Art Ehuan with Crypsis, a Palo Alto Networks company. There's my contact information if someone has any questions. And I'm going to talk to you about managing the privacy and cybersecurity risks during COVID. As you can see here, we've got a roadmap. There's an extensive campaign as we speak by threat actors to target remote workers with the COVID pandemic taking place. As companies sent their workers to work remotely, they've identified that there is a huge target vector that they can use, that remote employee, to target corporations. So some of the recommendations we're making is secure your home network, and that can be done by increasing your home security by making sure that your Wi-Fi doesn't use default passwords. You change the default password and make it a long and complex password on those devices. You protect your online accounts by using multi-factor authentication where at all possible. If you're using Gmail, for instance, it gives you the option for multi-factor authentication. You want to practice safe browsing. Go to sites that are safe, secure. You can typically know that by when you log into the site, you up on the URL screen, you see a green lock button. Come on, telling you it's a secure site. It's an encrypted site. What threat actors are doing is they're targeting and compromising websites. And then if an individual goes to that particular website, if your system is not up to date and patched, that website may be used to compromise your system. Beware of phishing and social engineering attacks. Again, the threat actors are targeting the remote worker, and they're gathering intelligence and information through social media. So security advice is by making sure you have an up-to-date antivirus and you've got a firewall on your network or on your host device. For the enterprise, we're telling enterprises to make sure that governance and training's in place, make sure that you're training employees on a regular basis on phishing and the type of attacks that are being seen. Where at all possible, make sure you enforce multi-factor authentication, absolutely crucial. For those individuals with privileged accounts, make sure those accounts are only used by those individuals that need them. Not everyone should be an administrator or a root user, so practice safe hygiene with those. If at all possible, before systems, home computers connect to the enterprise, make sure that you run a compliance checks on those devices to make sure, again, that they have the latest AV and firewall and are using VPN. And then, if possible, access and monitor activity of those devices. Look at the logs to make sure that there isn't a potential threat actor that's come in through a compromised home network system into your environment. And lastly, we're asking corporations and the remote worker, if at all possible, do a assessment of your remote worker force to make sure those systems are up to date and are following the established guidelines and best practices, and continue to deliver on a regular basis training around protecting yourselves against threat actors that are using the COVID pandemic as an entry point into the enterprise. Thank you, and look forward to speaking with you on the webinar.
I'm Phil Kizun. I'm the Chief Privacy Officer at SCI Investments. If your world is like mine, you are bombarded with colleagues who are devising some really brilliant ideas on how they want to use and apply data your organization holds. We want to know more. Our clients want to know more, and clients are looking for more insights and ever more connectivity. Navigating is not easy. Every day I am challenged on my knowledge of our data, what we have, where we get it from, what we process, invent, and relate it back to natural persons, who has access to the data, and with whom we share it. Retention is always a challenge. We want to keep it longer and longer and extract it from our systems of record, creating lengthy data lineages, effectively ferreting it away. We are not just processing it, but analyzing it, and analyzing the analysis, applying complex algorithms, finding new things to do with it. Clients want to forecast what their customers are going to do, effectively profiling people. This can mean adding new modules to applications or finding new opportunities for sharing data with third-party vendors who promises you even more interesting things with it. This is what I do. I focus on my register processing activity and keep it current. Mine are graphic with loads of descriptive narratives. Colleagues can sometimes be dismissive about working on this with me. I don't let this put me off. I ask challenging questions and show a genuine interest in what they do and how they do it. This approach helps me to win hearts and minds. I explain again and again why I need to know answers to critical questions such as the goal, the data needed, the data to be created, and who will have access to it. What are the technical operational measures employed to keep data secure? How can data be minimized and deleted as soon as practically possible? and how data creep can be prevented. The devil's always in the details. Good helicopter skills are needed to get into the details and climb back up to ensure the strategy is being met. It's important to remember a key fundamental and ensure others grow a better appreciation of a key tenet of data privacy. The data doesn't belong to us, it belongs to the natural person it refers to.
Hi everyone, my name is Amy Purcell. I am Chief Privacy Officer and Senior Counsel at Vanguard, and I'm here today with a panel of speakers to talk about living in a privacy-conscious world. I thought that we would start today's discussion by asking that very question. Are we living in a privacy-conscious world? And if we are, why do the panel members believe that to be true? And has that been impacted by the global pandemic that we are experiencing right now? I will start with Art.
Good morning. So Amy, I would concur that most individuals would believe that privacy is critical. It's important to be protected by the companies we do business with. My concern is that the implementation of privacy at corporations is lagging. And we see this because of the assaults that we're seeing from both nation states and organized crime against our information. And these assaults have taken a new dynamic right now with this global pandemic. And I continue to feel or be of the opinion that for the foreseeable future, our privacy is under great danger.
Thanks, Art. Phil, can I come to you next?
Sure. I think, Amy, it probably depends upon where you're looking at. I think in Europe, definitely privacy has a long history of being highly valued, and people's expectations are quite high in terms of what they would like to see, and make sure that information doesn't get out into the public domain, and their freedoms and knowledge about them isn't taken by threat actors, etc. But here in North America, and particularly in the US, I would say that in some aspects, yes, people highly regard their privacy when it comes to health-related matters and things like that. But then when it turns to other things, I think an awful lot of consumers and companies believe that the information is out there, it's going to be accessed and going to be compromised at some stage, potentially misused. Although I think this is sort of evolving, and maybe especially with what's going on with the pandemic, people are more conscious of what's happening with their information, don't necessarily want to be contact traced and things like that because they're not really sure what's going to happen. So I would say it's sort of evolving here in North America.
Thanks, Phil. Odia, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I would agree, and I would pick up on where Phil left off. So I think this is definitely something that's changing in the U.S. I used to teach an internet privacy or internet law course at a university here in Philadelphia, and I would ask the students, right, these are 3 L's, so they're like 22, what is privacy? And the answer that I got, and this is like 5 years ago, was basically Fourth Amendment search and seizure, and government interference and things like that. I think that perception of privacy and the fact that we understand that our privacy is at risk from private companies and large tech companies, et cetera, that's changing. I think the pandemic impacts that a lot because we see information being collected, not even in the context of contact tracing, but rather as everything is moving to contactless and personalized and online, right? We are now exchanging more information, right? People that used to, even do takeout and pay cash, right? Now you can't do that, and everything is, through apps. So there's more awareness of the information being collected, and I think we're more conscious of it. So then the question is, okay, now what, right? So we kind of know, and we're more aware of this thing called privacy and what it means for us, but is that like an understanding that of what does that lead to? And I think it leads to a couple of things. Number one, I think because of all of this, the media coverage and the discussion and, you know, issues with video conferencing and stuff, because of all that, there is a bigger push for privacy regulation in the US. And so I think we've seen a number of bills suggesting the regulation of COVID personal information, health information, and then now more recently, 3 federal privacy bills and other states coming after California. So I think that there is more awareness. The awareness is now trickling to, you know, a push towards regulation. And now we're left to see how that shakes out and when that will become actual law.
Thanks, Odia. So I think we can all agree that we are living in a very privacy busy world, and all of our jobs are keeping us very busy. So let's talk about some practical tips, whether it be pieces of technology or just best practices that you all use to keep up with the daily demands in the privacy space right now. And maybe I'll go reverse order this time. Odia, I'll start with you.
So tips, I guess on my end, I try to keep on top of everything that's going on in the key jurisdictions and kind of digest it and make it, you know, digestible and understandable, so I can relay that to clients and, you know, be able to make it actionable. There's so much stuff that's going on. There's so much information. It's very difficult to keep on top of. And, you know, those of us that are in the industry are really surprised that anybody sees anything else on the news except Shrems too. Like, really, there's like other stuff going on. On the personal side, right, for individuals, I think that it starts with awareness, right, and understanding what's going on. And then I think once you know what's going on, I think there is a really big gap between, you know, knowing that a certain app or something is collecting information about you and understanding the extent of what that means and what you can do to control it. So I think the first thing is to become aware of it. And then you need to kind of figure out what your comfort level is and address what your trade-offs are. Because a lot of us know that having certain apps on our phone, right, is they're collecting information, they're tracking us, et cetera, but what's the trade-off? Are we able to do without it? So I think in both levels, right, on the professional level, when I'm representing clients, and on the personal level, I think the first and most important is kind of understanding what's going on and then figuring out what you need or can do about it.
Okay, thanks, Odia. And we'll go to Phil next.
So I want to build on what Odia just said, but also what I always go back to is knowing what data we have, where we get it from, who's using it, how we're processing it, what our goal is in having it. Because what I see going on in my organization and generally across enterprises that I work with is that we're collecting ever more information about people and using this information to do ever more things with it. We're applying more complex algorithms, doing analysis on top of analysis. We're looking for opportunities to share it with third parties who can do even more interesting things with it. And my challenge is, well, so what information do we have and what are we doing with it? And trying to establish where we have a legitimate interest in actually having that information and doing with it what we are intending to do. How does it add value to us, and how do we protect it to make sure that we didn't infringe upon anybody's freedoms or rights that they have in terms of restricting maybe some of the processing activity that we want to carry out. So again, I think my go-to always is just mastering what information I have. I always go back to my register of processing activity, the data mapping, make sure it's up to date and up to speed. And yeah, it has to be the focus of really what I do day in and day out.
I agree with that concept entirely, Phil. I think knowing your data and knowing where it is and what you have and why you're using it is like the foundation for anything that we do. How about you, Art? Any good tricks of the trade to share?
Yes. Hi. So I've got 3 principles I try to follow. Is 1, I question, for instance, I recently had a doctor's appointment, and filling out the paperwork, they asked for my social security number. And I said to the receptionist, why do you need this? And she says, well, we just asked for it. And I said, I don't want to give it to you. She went back to the administrator, came back, said, okay, we don't need it. So question why information about you is needed. Secondly, social media. Social media is not our friend, unfortunately. The threat actors out there love to collect intelligence on individuals on social media. So watch what you're talking about, watch what you're posting, beware of social media. And lastly, use 2-factor authentication for your email, for instance, for your personal email. The threat actors are very, very good into getting into individuals' emails, seeing their conversations. Passwords, in my opinion, are dead. Use that 2nd factor. That is something that a code that's sent to your phone or your laptop. So those 3 things I think are very, very crucial.
Thanks, Art. And it looks like we are out of time. So thank you to the panel for the great discussion today. And thank you to the viewers for watching this session.
Thank you.
Ocean or mountain?
Ocean.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Phone call or email?
Email.
Phone call or email? Phone.
iOS or Android?
iOS.
iOS or Android?
Android.
Phone call or email?
Phone call.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
May the force be with you.
Sweet or savory?
Savory.
And now, let's hear from 2 more demo pit companies. Don't forget that you can help our judges in their deliberation by voting for your favorite demo pit presentations by using your mobile phone to visit menti.com and entering the code on your screen to access our poll. Now let's watch Staff Geek.
Hello, my name is Sean Boyce. I'm the CEO and founder of Staff Geek. Staff Geek is a human resources technology company, and we offer products and people analytics. So let me tell you a little bit about Staff Geek. This is the problem space in which Staff Geek competes. We solve problems for companies around change, whether they be from micro or macro level events. 2 primary problems we help companies solve is around turnover and retention. And we have unique products to help companies solve both. I'm also going to talk a little bit about how our products are uniquely differentiated. This is a little information about the market in which Staff Geek competes. We target small and medium-sized businesses. And there's also information up here to talk about how the demand for Staff Geek's products has remained despite the changes from the pandemic. This is how Staff Geek stacks up against the competition for which we're frequently compared. We differentiate ourselves in one of 2 ways. The first is around the fact that we build customized solutions around the companies that we work with, and our pricing model, for which we make our products more affordable for our customers. These components make up the value proposition for Staff Geek. The first, as I mentioned before, we offer customized solutions for the companies in which we work. And regarding the additional differentiators that we have are around, we do what we do faster, more efficiently, and we offer a better user experience, which creates a better experience for both the companies and the candidates alike. Also, we simplify our process. Our Staff Geek Select, which is our flagship product, has single-page reporting. And to round everything out, our pricing model is simpler and more affordable for our customers. This is how the flagship product of ours, which is Staff Geek Select, works. Staff Geek Select is a behavioral assessment. It helps companies with the selection part of the hiring process. The first step in that process is what we call DNA sequencing, which is a data-driven way to uncover companies' values, and those are the best predictors for success at that organization. We then take those values and roll those into creating a customized fit tech assessment around the organization. And for every candidate that takes one of those fit tech assessments, a single-page report is generated and sent to the company stakeholders to show how well that candidate matches those company values. These are some visuals with regard to what our product looks like. Renders well on any device, is fully responsive, and as I mentioned, our process is simpler. Our Staff Geek Select product offers single-page reporting. This is some of the progress of where Staff Geek has been and where we believe we're going. As I mentioned, our StaffGeek Select product is our flagship. That's our behavioral assessment. We build customized solutions around each company we work with. Throughout the pandemic, demand shifted a bit from both hiring to retention. As such, we responded by bringing a performance management product to market, of which we have numerous customers using that now. And we believe there's a future for learning and development, innovation as well too in our space. All of these products, what they have in common are they are all foundationally built around our DNA sequencing. This is how the StaffGeek business model operates. Every company pays a minimum of $500 flat fee per month for access to the products. We also have an enterprise tier, which is more customized. And these are some revenue projections that we believe StaffGeek is capable of based on some conservative estimates in our industry. This is the team that makes it happen. As I mentioned before, I'm the CEO and founder of StaffGeek, Sean Boyce. I have experience in product and market research. My other partners, Mark Prine is our Chief Science Officer. He has PhD level industrial organizational psychology experience. And Alex Garashenko, who's our Chief Technology Officer. He works with our development team to build our software products. And thank you for having StaffGeek.
And now our final pitch, Threshold.world.
I wake up every day trying to start from a place of humility. I think that's the most important value, and I look to model that for myself and everybody I have the honor of coming into contact with. 10 years ago, I co-created a nonprofit fundraising platform that set the standard for the third sector's digital transformation to the cloud. We were honored to work with many large nonprofits that were able to raise up to 10 times more funds, but we never knew where the donations went, and we didn't know if they were able to increase their impact, and I wanted to know. The world's 10 million nonprofits raise trillions of dollars per year and spend over 80 billion on technology, and yet less than 30% of them are able to measure and report on the efficacy of their programs. Which is why we at Threshold.world began to focus on a different customer relationship, which is with the program and the beneficiaries. And which is why I'm so excited to introduce you today to B.world, Threshold.world's cloud platform for program management and beneficiary engagement. It allows nonprofit program teams to go from strategy to story, which allows the organizations to develop and collaborate upon visual strategy, develop the projects and programs from input to outcome, including all stakeholders, define and adapt beautiful and authentic stories about program performance, and then publish those stories to the world's social networks and across digital channels. Our go-to-market approach is differentiated by a product-led growth strategy. Our legacy competitors are built for headquarters, whereas B.world is for the 50 million nonprofit program teams around the world. We're combining consumer design with a price accessibility to make this the platform of the future for nonprofit program teams. At Threshold.world, we believe the world is at a threshold moment, and the decisions we make at this point in time will determine the future of life on this planet. We believe technology's story is just beginning, and we hope you'll join us on this journey.
Don't forget to tune in next week for our 10 a.m. session to learn the winner and best in show, to vote for your favorite demo pit presentation by using your mobile phone to visit menti.com and entering the code on your screen to access our poll.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you to all our demo pit companies and speakers from day one of this Forum Conference keynote series. Again, I'd like to remind you that next week, October 14th at 10 a.m., along with the announcement of our demo pit winner, we'll present the third and final thematic panel session on ethical data and the ethical use of AI, plus our closing keynote on building the diverse tech workforce of the future, featuring thought leaders from Google, SAP, and the National Diversity Council. A big thank you again to all our forum sponsors, especially our presenting sponsors, Fairmount Partners and Anexinet. And remember to check your email or reach out to us at PACT for information on how you can join our year-round forum community app and desktop platform and connect to great content and fellow thought leaders year-round. See you back on October 14th.